Welcome to the deep dive. We're here to cut through the noise, give you the insights you really need. And today we're looking at AI. It's changing so fast, isn't it?
Almost daily, yeah.
What's cutting edge one minute feels, well, almost old news the next. And because it's moving so quickly, understanding the rules of the game, especially policy, is just crucial.
Absolutely. Policy really dictates the direction of travel, how AI gets built, how it affects us all.
And right now, there's this, well, powerful new vision for AI policy taking shape in the US. It's stirring up quite a debate. Are we going full speed ahead, maybe ignoring risks, or is it a more cautious path?
It's a fundamental question.
So our mission today is to really dig into this significant shift. This deep dive actually came from a suggestion by senior technical writer Kurt Robbins. He flagged a key video for us.
Oh, interesting. Which one?
It's from the YouTube channel PBS NewsHour titled, What's in Trump's New AI Policy and Why It Matters? It was uploaded June 20, 2024, and it lays out these proposed changes pretty clearly.
Okay, PBS NewsHour. Got it. That should give us some solid ground.
Exactly. And for you listening, if you're a technical writer, a documentation specialist, an IT professional, these policy shifts aren't just, abstract ideas.
Yeah, they hit close to home.
Right. They directly shape how AI systems get developed, deployed, documented, the stuff you work with every single day. Think privacy frameworks, ethical guidelines. These policies set the whole context.
Yeah, the foundation for your work, really.
Okay, so let's unpack this. Let's dive into the core of this new AI policy vision.
Let's do it.
So as we look at the material, the first thing that really leaps out is just how different the two philosophies are. The video calls it a pivot, a dramatic one.
It really is a stark contrast. If you look back at the Biden administration, the approach was very much about finding a balance.
A balance between
The incredible potential AI for good, for society, and what they saw as, well, potentially grave risks. The fear that this technology could overturn things in destructive ways.
Okay.
So the focus was really on responsible development, and a big part of that was regulation, trying to steer it carefully.
Right. Harnessing the power, but trying to manage the danger. Makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
But then, just as you say that, the video describes what's coming now as a complete 180. That sounds pretty drastic.
It is. President Trump's vision, as it's laid out, is all about a fast-paced competition, building and defining this technology quickly.
Competition with who, primarily?
China? Explicitly, yes. The goal stated is to reduce regulation, accelerate innovation, and position the U.S. ahead of China. He literally said America's going to win it.
Wow. Okay.
And the objective is for American companies and their AI to become the global standard for AI around the world.
So the core difference really is moving away from that balancing act.
Exactly. Shifting from weighing benefits against risks with regulation towards prioritizing speed, growth, and frankly, American dominance globally. It's a different kind of calculation.
A high-stakes one, you could say. So if the big picture is speed and dominance, how exactly do they plan to make that happen? This is where the video gets into the specifics. The policy levers talks about 3 executive orders planned.
Yes, that's right. The first big one is about rolling back regulations. The idea is to cut away what this administration sees as red tape holding back innovation.
Okay, less red tape. How?
Well, one quite specific proposal is to potentially withhold federal AI spending from states if the administration thinks their state-level regulations on AI are burdensome.
Burdensome. That sounds subjective. Have they defined what burdensome actually means?
That's the key point. No, they haven't explicitly defined it, so it leaves a lot of room for interpretation.
Right.
And the likely targets would be state laws trying to regulate things like AI and privacy, or discriminatory uses of AI, or perhaps rules requiring developers to be more transparent.
Things states might be worried about locally.
Exactly. The clear preference being stated is for one federal standard instead of a patchwork of state laws.
Right.
But, getting Congress to agree on a single federal standard is, well, it's notoriously difficult.
Yeah, that's often a huge hurdle. So there could be a gap between wanting one standard and actually getting one passed. So this push for deregulation, especially without defining burdensome, what does that actually mean on the ground for our listeners? For data handling or ethical AI development?
Well, for data handling, if state-level privacy regulations are discouraged or overridden, your teams might suddenly face a less strict environment. Maybe less focus needed on, say, granular consent for data use, or perhaps fewer requirements for anonymizing data in your pipelines.
Which impacts documentation, right? How you describe data governance.
Correctly. You need to be very clear about what standards are being followed, especially if federal rules are vague and state rules are pushed back.
Mm.
And for ethical AI, the challenge becomes embedding fairness and transparency when the external regulatory pressure might be easing off.
So more reliance on internal company standards, maybe?
Potentially, yes. More internal best practices, company policies, rather than relying purely on external legal mandates. It shifts the onus somewhat.
Okay. And the other two executive orders, quickly, what are they about?
The second one is about infrastructure, making it easier to build massive AI data centers and get the energy they need. AI is incredibly power hungry, so that facilitates growth.
Makes sense. And the third?
That one focuses on encouraging the export of American AI tech, selling it abroad, which again feeds into that global standard, global dominance goal.
Right. And for documentation folks, that might mean more focus on localization, international compliance.
Exactly. Global-ready docs, thinking about different regulations, maybe even translating ethical frameworks for different cultures. It broadens the scope.
Okay, now let's shift to another specific order mentioned in the video, the one targeting ideological bias in AI chatbots. It's framed as removing woke AI bias. This feels like a particularly charged area.
It certainly is complex and, yeah, contentious. So context is important here. This idea of woke AI bias, as framed by people who use the term, suggests AI models have a sort of built-in liberal slant, maybe as an overcorrection for other biases.
Okay, so it's distinct from what we usually talk about with AI bias.
It is, yeah. Traditionally, maybe just a year or two ago, AI bias usually meant the tendency for tools like, say, ChatGPT or Google Gemini to produce text or images reinforcing harmful stereotypes.
Because they're trained on internet data.
Precisely. They absorb all the bad stuff online, misogyny, racism, you name it, and can spit that back out. But more recently, as tech companies tried to counteract those biases, those efforts have sometimes led to incidents that people, particularly on the right, have pointed to as proof that companies are now imposing their own liberal bias.
Does the video give examples of that?
It does. A couple of key ones. Back in 2023, there was the case where ChatGPT apparently wrote a poem praising Joe Biden but refused to write one praising Donald Trump.
I remember hearing about that.
And then more recently, 2024, Google Gemini created images with what was called false diversity in historical settings, like showing Black Vikings, which is historically inaccurate.
Yep.
And the expert in the video points out that folks on the right have seized on that as evidence that there is a danger of woke AI that the tech companies are pushing.
So it's become a political flashpoint.
Definitely.
Yeah.
But, and this is a crucial point the expert makes, counteracting any bias in these AI tools in either direction is actually really, really difficult technically.
So regardless of the political spin, fixing bias is just hard.
It's incredibly hard. The underlying technical challenge remains stubborn, no matter which bias you're trying to tackle. It's not as simple as flipping a switch.
That's a really important reminder, isn't it? The tech itself is still evolving and imperfect.
Exactly.
Okay, so these policy ideas aren't just happening in a vacuum. They're landing in Silicon Valley. How are tech leaders, policymakers out there reacting to this major shift?
Yeah, the video touches on a noticeable change in tone. It contrasts the current situation with, say, Sam Altman, OpenAI CEO, testifying before Congress just a couple of years back.
What was he saying then?
Back then, he was effectively saying, look, this technology is powerful. It needs more regulation. That was kind of the message from many in the industry under the Biden administration.
Right, a cautious tone.
Yeah, the general message was something like, we're building amazing stuff, but wow, it could also be really dangerous, so please help us regulate it.
And now, under the Trump policy proposals.
Now, the message seems to have shifted, almost from day one of these discussions. It's more like, we're building amazing stuff. Forget the dangers for now. It's going to be great. Let's go full steam ahead. And please give us lots of money and remove roadblocks to do it.
That's quite a turnaround. Forget about the dangers. Do they really mean that? Or is it more about who manages the risk? Maybe relying on self-regulation?
That's a good question. It's likely more nuanced than literally forgetting the dangers, but the emphasis, the public message, has definitely shifted towards acceleration over caution. And the proposed policies are designed to support that acceleration.
Right. And that full steam ahead approach has real consequences for our listeners, doesn't it? How might it change the ethical guidelines you have to write, the documentation standards, even just the speed you're expected to work at?
Absolutely. It could redefine your role and responsibilities around ensuring responsible AI development within your organizations.
Okay, so let's just quickly recap the main points. We've seen this really significant shift proposed for U.S. AI policy, moving from that earlier focus on balancing potential and risk with regulation
Point.
to what the source calls a complete 180. A new vision prioritizing rapid innovation, cutting regulation, and aiming for U.S. global dominance in AI.
Yeah, with specific tools like potentially withholding federal funds to discourage state regulations, boosting data center infrastructure, and promoting AI exports. It's all geared towards speed and leading the pack.
And we talked about how this change inevitably ripples out to you, technical writers, documentation specialists, IT pros.
Definitely. It touches everything from how you handle data privacy and development to how much transparency is expected or required in the AI system documentation you create or manage. The whole idea of responsible AI might get reframed.
Maybe shifting more towards internal company standards if external regulations lessen.
That seems like a very possible outcome, yes. More onus on companies to define and enforce their own ethical lines.
So here's a final thought to leave you with. In a world where AI policy seems to be shifting so fast towards speed and innovation, maybe sometimes over caution, what are the longer-term consequences for the reliability, the fairness, the trustworthiness of the AI systems you build, use, and write about every day?
And how might this potential future change your role? How do you ensure responsible AI practices continue even if the policy winds are blowing in a different direction?
Yeah, something really important to think about as we all navigate this rapidly changing AI landscape. It's a crucial question for everyone in the field.